Okay, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Subspace Developer Sync. We'll just go ahead and get started. Serge, do you want to give us the first update, please?
Sure. So on my side, since we last spoke, I was working on some minor issues like adding a timeout for fetch parablocks, as Nazar commented on our meeting on Thursday. And also I have added additional check for feed IDs on chain. So those two small PRs. And today I was working on adding a state module for Relayer, which will basically store and retrieve last process block, which is important for resync. And it also stores feed IDs, same as before, just now it's a separate module for that. And today I started to work on resync. Yeah, I currently have this. So currently we get last block on the chain, and since we already store last process block, we can calculate like a range of blocks to be processed. And yeah, I created like a simple method which returns an observable of these block numbers that we need to process. And yeah, hopefully soon. Tomorrow, probably I will add some handling for each particular block. Yeah, that's it.
Okay, and when you say state module, is that persistent on the relay, or is it just fetching the state from the blockchain itself on startup?
No, we save it locally to JSON, different JSON files for feeds and for last process block. And of course, we will for feeds, we double check on chain. For last process block, currently we don't, but maybe this is something I will consider later.
And by process, do you mean the last put that was submitted, or just the height of the chain, the source chain?
Yes, last submitted block on relay chain. I mean,
on
like for example,
chain.
if we no last processed source chain block. So
Okay.
last Kusama block, for example.
Okay.
So for example, it was like 100, and then relayer stopped working, and then we start it again, and it's already like 150. So we have 50 blocks that we skipped, and now we know which blocks we have to process. We're not processing yet, but we know which ones.
Okay, makes sense. So you're focused on basically the resync before we get into the Genesis sync right now.
Yes, because Genesis sync is, I mean, I can build Genesis sync on top of this functionality because we have to specify from which block we process, and it's kind of related.
Okay. Okay, and how much longer do you expect it's going to take for you to get the resync working in days?
I think 2 days.
Okay, so that's all we're going to achieve before the offsite.
I think so. So, because the problem is that the last finalized block on chain, it's updating all the time, right? Because the blockchain produces new blocks all the time. So this like target is already always moving. So it's a bit hard to actually sync without missing blocks. So I think this will be the challenge.
Okay. Okay, and then after that, we still have to implement the sync Kusama from Genesis, and then all the parachains as well.
Right.
And that's going to take a while as well. Okay, so I think what we're probably, we'll talk about this more at the end. I think we're probably going to have to try to break that into smaller tasks and separate it out across the team to see if we can try to speed up development on this front as well. But maybe we'll get to the end before we discuss that some more.
Okay.
Okay. Any other updates, Serge?
Yeah, I was also working on submitting blocks as hex instead of JSON, but I got stuck with something. And but since it's not like it's optimization, it's not like critical at the moment, so I put it aside. Maybe I will discuss it on the flight with Nazar. We will have a lot of time.
Okay. Cool. Any other questions for Serge? Cool. Thanks, Serge. Sounds like good progress. Okay, Ozgun, you're up next.
All right. Hello, everyone. So the first thing I was working on is transitioning the farmer binary to library. Now it's a library. It's not complete, but at least it's working as a library and passes all the tests. So essential transition is being done. And also, after Nazar's suggestion today, I implemented a common module to prevent code duplication. So both the main RS and libRS are saving the same code structure without copying pasting them. We also have more plans on the library itself. So for example, using channels instead of printing the messages to CLI, of course. And we will also do some refactorings, but I can talk a bit more on the details after this meeting in the protocol sync, protocol engineering meeting. Other than that, I have 2 more extra things that I want to share with you since we all here. First of all, we are, as I mentioned in the last week, we have finished the GPU article, but we are not diving into the details of CUDA in that. I also wrote a CUDA article and polished it. Now it's on LinkedIn and we can refer to it. I believe this is good for 4 reasons. 3 reasons. One of them is we are being more open source and publicly sharing everything we know with everybody. So, for example, an external developer can read it and comment or review our GPU code more in a more reliable way. And this is applicable to our developers as well. So at any point we want to do something else with the GPU or want to develop it, if you guys are wondering about how GPU works, you can just read it and we can review the codes in the next PR's potential ones. And other than that, since it's a niche topic and we are not using, I'm not commonly writing GPU code. So after 3 or 4 months, I'm afraid of forgetting what we did and what I learned. So that's why the article being online publicly is a good thing, I believe. Other than that, the last thing on my side to share with you, this weekend on my free time, I was more diving into the functional programming to write more idiomatic and maintainable Rust code. And I discovered something really amazing, at least for me, which is category theory. So if you have any spare time, I strongly suggest everyone to learn about it. I found a really good playlist in YouTube. I will share it in the Discord. So you can have a look at it, and if you like it, you can continue watching it. I'm having so much fun. Even in my free time to relax, I'm watching these lectures because the topic is really interesting for me. Other than that, I think I don't have any other things to share. Yeah, that's all. Any questions?
That sounds like great progress, Ozgun. We'll talk more about what you've been doing in the next meeting. Have you shared that article, the second article that you wrote on CUDA in Discord with us?
No, it's in the LinkedIn. We can share it in Discord, Notion, anywhere you.
Yeah, if you could share that with the team on in the engineering chat, that'd be great.
Sure, will do.
I'd like to take a look at that too. Any questions for Ozgun? Okay. Thanks, Ozgun. Okay, Leo, you're up next.
Yeah, sure. I got a couple of updates in terms of Polkadot apps, actually. This undefined error in the events has gone. I think that they fixed it in the last version of Polkadot. It was a missing type, I think, in the Polkadot API project, not in the Explorer. So this is done actually and confirmed in there, and we get rid of this problem actually. And we had some missing features like block authoring and the block era progress. And I was able to extend this derivation method from the API and get the block authoring in the Explorer dashboard and in the Explorer block information. And today in the morning, I think, yeah, or yesterday in the night, actually, I realized how to extend the era progress, actually. So I think that today I will be working in that last feature that we have missing. And yeah, what else? In terms of the relayer app, actually, I think that I have shared the last version, and I have to work today in fixing some comments in the last PR. And yeah, I think that those are my updates for now.
Okay, thanks for the update, Leo. So just to make sure I understand, so for the relayer front end, there's all the work has been done. There's just some modifications based on the PR review that need to be cleaned up a little bit.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so you think we're pretty close to having that at a stopping point?
I think that after the last review, I think that there is no more feature for now to implement.
Okay.
Be stopped or frozen for now.
Great. And then regarding Polkadot JS apps for upgrade from Spartan to Subspace Testnet, what is your expectation, or how many days do you think it will take to finish all that to get caught up to master?
I think that the last feature is this era progress chart, and after that, I think that we are done. I have updated the logos, all the labels, and maybe some pending things are as like the last steps, like having this RPC with the last version. And yeah, I think that a couple of days should be enough to have this last version like prepared for peer, I think.
Okay, so I'd really
there's actually, so we should be with full features in there.
Okay, if you can get it to a point by tomorrow, but when we have the front end sync call, if you can get it to a stopping point so that we can start reviewing that internally, and then maybe we can identify some, what are the nice to have versus the need to have things, so that we can close this out. I'd like to get our internal review done before we leave for the offsite. And then once that is done, we can submit it to parity, so that hopefully by the time we get back from the offsite, it will be approved by parity, because that's kind of what's the slowest part of the whole process.
Yeah, I think that I can probably have something for tomorrow. Yeah, like I said, this is the last feature in terms of, and I got updated in Notion actually, so all the tags are marked like in review. So we can check it tomorrow. There are just like, I think that 7 files and all pretty standard. And the only one important is the one that have all this implementation for the custom API methods. So it's just one important file actually.
Okay, great. That sounds wonderful.
Tomorrow.
Any questions for Leo from the group? Awesome. Anything else, Leo?
No, I think that's just that for now.
Great, thank you. Okay, Nazar, you're up next.
I have quite a bit of updates. So the first thing I was working on is object mapping. So remember, we have palette feeds where we can put data, and that data ends up in a particular extrinsic in some block somewhere in the history. And what object mapping does, it basically maps that particular piece of data to insert like useful data, the payload, all the way through all the layers of abstractions, all the way to the final location in a particular piece at particular offset in the history of the blockchain. So we have an ability to take the hash of the object that we put into the blockchain and then retrieve it from the plot of the farmer. So basically, once we add the RPC, we will be able to query that and extract useful data from the actual plot, which is nice. So that was the first update, and then I was basically preparing to the testnet. So I renamed everything that was POC or Spartan in all of our crates everywhere to Subspace. I have refactored some of the crates and their names and moved things around. And that will be the primary reason why Leo would have to update things because they just changed the name. Also, updated the build instructions and Docker files and READMEs and everything such that it actually works. At least I've tested a few things and they work fine. So this is again a step towards the testnet. Then I also added the license because it was public domain for the node and the runtime. I think we should have them as GPL 3.0. So that was done. And I also moved the node and the runtime under crates folder and added testnet chain spec separately and updated instructions to not use dev anymore. So we will have like a separate complete thing. I think we will have to create like an account that will be a sudo account instead of Alice for this iteration of testnet, but that's something that can be done later. And right now I'm working on the cleanups, and I'll probably sync with Justin, and we'll try to run the testnet. Some of the early images of Subspace Farmer and Node are already on the Docker Hub, and if you follow the instructions, you should be able to run it. Yeah, the next stop is to have testnet running.
Awesome. Sounds like amazing progress. Nazar, really excited to be at this point where we can finally have the Subspace testnet working after all these years and months of working on this.
I can probably add a little bit salt onto that. There is actually a problem when we reach the height of about 700 to 900 blocks, which will take, I don't know, a few months probably on the regular block production time. We actually had a Stack Overflow in the Tokyo thread. I've created a discussion on the GitHub on Substrate. We'll see what they reply. We should have some time before that actually happens on the testnet. So I hope we can figure it out before then.
Great. Any questions for Nazar from the group? Okay. Just a few quick updates on my side. Obviously, I haven't been writing any code as much as I would like to. I have been working on more formal specifications for the decoupled execution and the scalability design, the horizontal scaling aspect of that. I've also been preparing an agenda for the engineering offsite. I'm hoping to have a more formal agenda that I can share on Discord soon, or Notion, and that we can review or discuss in more detail at the next sync. And I've been reviewing Nazar's PRs as well. Still got a couple more to review here. Yeah, that's about it on my side. Any questions for me? Okay. All right, guys, let's stop recording and then we can discuss a few other things. So thanks everybody who is watching. Appreciate it. We'll see you guys in a few days.